Welcome back, and today we are going to be flying out the Battle Pass reward B7A2. And I've actually never flown the other B7A2 in my life, so I had no real way of knowing how this thing performs. I thought this thing would be more closer to something like the SB2C, it being Japanese and all, being slow, being very good at turning. But all in all, it's actually quite different, and it's actually pretty fun. Sure, it's not gonna be an apex predator when it comes to fighting other people. It's not very fast, it will redline at 650. The wyvern in front of me here does that in a straight line. Luckily we get some position and we can still dig him out of the match. The main strength of this vehicle is going to be the sustained turn, because the energy retention is actually quite alright. And of course the airspan, together with the climb rate, that is not absolutely terrible. This basically makes sure that every match you start with an energy advantage versus essentially everything that isn't something like an XP-50, P38G and everything that you can face that has an airspan. Luckily most XP-50 players are completely disabled in the brain and we can just dogfight them anyway. Now, this is not without risk. The XP-50 is still gonna kinda run circles around you. It's not a fighter, at least this thing is not. But the XP-50 is also technically an interceptor, but let's be honest, who are we kidding? So first things first, we are gonna try to go into a little bit of a scissor here. I'm slowly getting behind him and I'm gonna cut my throttle. This thing holds its speed very well, and it's going to make it so that he just stays on my 6. I don't want that. He is not really overshooting, and if I drop too much throttle now, I'm just gonna die because he's just gonna park on my 6. The Yak 9 in comes to shit on my parade, but I'm just gonna switch on the loop here, take him down, and then switch on the loop with the XP-50 so that he takes a lead again on me. He takes a little bit of a lead pursuit, he takes some shots, and now he kind of messed himself up because we are now going to be reversing him. 1 or 2 more turns and he's gonna be in front of us because he is now going faster than us, and well, we have some position to actually turn around and shoot him right in the cockpit. Down goes the XP-50 and we are gonna try to get our speed back up so that we can fight the LA-5. The LA-5 is another plane that is actually, you can fight it quite handily, but it needs some setup and he has a lot of energy on us. This thing, again, sure the energy retention is quite alright, just don't expect it to do wonders, especially if the enemy is going 200 kilometers an hour faster than you. So I'm just trying to sit inside a turning circle. He kind of extends away, and because of that I just get the ability to fly after him. Not really too worried about what he does at this point, because if he turns now I'm gonna get the shot. So he's forced to run away from us, because we still have plenty of kilocalories to really pursue him if he decides to go for a dogfight with me on a 6. He gets shot down by a teammate, and then the 109 here decides he also wants a piece of this cake. Now, this is sexual harassment and I'm not really a fan of that, so I'm gonna employ some self-defense tactics. The first one is shake your booty left and right, entice him to get a little bit closer, and then I'm just gonna stamp on the elevator. You can tell that my retention here until I go straight vertical is absolutely wild. The 109 does compress a little bit, but so do we, and the roll rate of this plane, especially at very high and very low speeds, is absolutely abysmal. Now I think he got pepper sprayed here, because he just turns the absolute wrong direction and gives us the freest kill of the evening. We then turn in, we miss our shots, but it doesn't really matter at this point. I can throttle drop. I'm gonna be staying on this guy's 6 no matter what. I'm not gonna be overshooting, I'm not gonna be managing my energy. I'm just gonna be sitting on a 6, and then we hit like 2 or 3 shells and its entire plane combusts into spare parts. And that's the real beauty of this vehicle, and essentially every vehicle right now. With the real shader change, I've been having an absolute blast. I've been playing a bit of props. I've flown the B7A2, I've flown the VB10, I flew the Yak 15P, I flew the I-185 at 3.7. And all of these planes, sure, aren't the best, but they have a lot of guns, while the Yak 15P doesn't. And I was still just slamming every match, which is just absolutely fantastic. Down goes the P38, and his squad mate here then kind of flies in front of us. But I'm not really able to get good shots in. I'm just gonna give chase for a little bit because he is so close. But because I can't really roll, and it's a P38L, which has the boosters installed. Well, maybe he doesn't have them installed, but it has the hydraulic control surfaces. Makes it a little bit harder for me to get shots on. So I'm just gonna break off. I'm just gonna leave him. And then I noticed that the BF10, 110, as well as the P38 that I just crit, but I didn't really do any substantial damage to him, both start chasing me. The position that I'm in is actually quite welcoming. It's not the best, it's not super ideal considering the P-38 is a better plane than I am, but I do have a little bit of energy and he did get crit. I'm not entirely sure how damaged he is. I didn't see any leaks, I didn't see any fires, I didn't see anything that indicates that he actually lost a lot of flight performance. So I'm gonna treat this guy as if he's still 90% fine. His energy retention is probably a little bit lower because he has some damaged parts, but in my position here all I need to do is dodge the P-38 once because I picked up a lot of speed here. Well, not really a lot, but I picked up enough to go vertical against these guys. P-38 has been climbing into me. I had more speed because he dove away. So all I need to do now is stall on top of him and just take them out for dinner. The BF-110 then tries to dive away. The P-38 also kind of extends. And at this point I'm kind of, who do I go for? The BF-110 is a lot closer, so I'm just gonna try my shots at long range. Boom, he gets a barbecue and we extend over to Gluey Fritz in his P-38. And he just really wants to fly away from us and I'm not really a fan of it. And I don't want to contest this guy at higher speed, so I'm gonna shoot some rounds at long range. He then dives away, we correct our shot and he also gets a free little barbecue. They're both gonna burn up. And we are gonna be flying towards the middle of the map. It's an engine fire on the P-38. I highly doubt he's gonna be surviving that, so I'm just breaking off. I'm not even gonna bother chasing him back to his runway, because if he does make it to the runway, he's probably gonna get within AA range by the time I get within shot range anyway, if he puts the fire out. And then I get peppered by AA, he has the boosted control, so I'm not really realistically gonna kill him. So I'm just gonna fly towards the middle of the map and see if I can get some more kills. Here comes the P-47, he's going pretty quick, he has more energy than us right here. So I need to be somewhat careful, but I'm gonna bait him into getting a shot on us. I go very straight line in front of him, I dodge, then I go straight vertical, wait for him to pull, and we do the same thing once more. And now he's essentially stalled out, and at these kind of speeds, I will outturn him. I'm gonna use my flaps and these will not improve my sustained turn rate. But what it does, it makes me able to kind of float within his loop. And then we can just miss our shots. Luckily, he tries to stick the fight another time. And that really sealed his fate as we send him back to the hangar. The FW-190 just killed someone and my teammate said, good job, Conjay. So I thought to myself, well, he probably did something right. So let's go into it with a little bit of thought. It's a 190, I'm not entirely sure which one it is, but it is going to be an A model. So I just want to be careful of the high speed lockup and the roll rate. So I need to make sure that I set up for the head-on pass properly so I can dodge his rounds. It's always going to be sketch, but I'm just going to try to wait for him to pull and then kind of pull the other way to maximize the time for him to pull lead on us. Luckily, he messes it up completely and then fumbles the bag even harder by going straight vertical without having separation. You can see if he was like 200 to 300 meters further away, this would have worked, because if I then try to pitch up after him, I just stall out. And I was feeling a bit cheeky, so I tell him good job Conjay, because my teammate just did. It's all good fun. The guy was like level 20. I can't fault him for making that mistake. This game is extremely painful to learn. So, airspawn yet again, dive on the Yak 3, extend to the I-185. I try to roll back over to the left and I just can't. So what do? We loop on and over. But first things first, we are gonna extend a little bit upwards to bank our speed. And then we'll see if we can loop over and kill him real quick. LA5 also comes in very closely and I thought for a second to go for him instead. And we do. Because he just looks to be completely AFK. Click on him, shoot him down, I-185 then tries to pull back into us and we're also going to send him back to the hangar. And that's going to be 3 very quick kills at the start of the game. And we notice the LA5 coming from their side of the field. So probably a jipper, a guy that has join in progress on. If you have that on, please turn it off, it's in the option menu. Just type in join and you'll see a little slider. Click it, get rid of it, the queue times are not worth the hassle. So we go ahead on with the LA5, and I know that the Shavacs are extremely potent right now, because I have been flying the I-185 a little bit. And at this point I'm just trying to get outside of his guns, because he is going pretty fast. So I'm gonna try to loop on over his nose, try to get the shot here, but he is also actively dodging me. And then because of the 109F, I need to actually break up my loop and give the LA5 a lot of position. We're gonna try to pull back into the LA5 while maintaining the scissor with the 109. And I'm then gonna dive a little bit to pick up some speed to dodge the LA5 that's coming back in any second now. So we go under him, we pull up over his nose, and then let's look at the cannons of the B7A2. Keep in mind, low rate of fire, that's a B25. And well, that's like 3 shells that connected. B25 cut in half. The real shatter change definitely makes bomber pilots' life extremely miserable. I do think that bomber damage models can be buffed a little bit now. Just don't make them absolute tanks. But for fighter versus fighter, the guns right now feel absolutely fantastic. There needs to be a little bit of tweaking, because I do think that the Shevaks, for example, do a little bit too much, considering they should be about the weakest 20mm in the game. Just don't overdo it. I should probably just say don't actually change them at all. Just buff the MG151s a little bit, because they are now by far the weakest 20mm. I'm not calling them bad, but they are just kind of mid compared to the rest now. And I've hearing people say that a real shatter kills games. And yeah, it kind of kills games because everyone now is used to getting lucky every time they present someone with a shot. That's not how it should be. And before, you could get lucky 3, 4, 5, 6 times, and then you would look at someone and you would one-shot them. Does that sound fair when it happens to you? When you hit someone 6 times and then they one-shot you? And that's not how it should be. Now, if this doesn't happen to you because you're not able to hit the same guy 6 times, and you don't really know what that experience is like, well, you're not gonna get more one-shots when you do hit people. You need to be more aware of trying to stay alive, because that's the main problem that a lot of people have in this game. Staying alive will net you more kills, and now if you line up your shots even a little bit, if your aim isn't even if it's suboptimal, you are going to be getting kills. But hey, if you don't enjoy the patch, I sure am. You've had the last 4 to 5 months to enjoy. Now it's our time. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.